Congress has the power of the purse, the executive branch has the power of the sword, the judicial branch has neither. And it depends upon the goodwill of the other two branches and their assent to that in order for it to be operative. And
so for an anti-constitutional decision, an illegitimate decision such as the Obergefell decision,
yes,
which, as the dissenters pointed out, the 4 dissenting justices just
brilliantly,
has no basis in the text or logic or structure or historical understanding of the Constitution. For a decision like that, would you as president simply decline to enforce that decision?
I would absolutely decline. In fact, I would make sure that I had an attorney general who led the Justice Department who would protect in every way the rights of those citizens who joined in disagreeing. I just find it amazing that we would ever surrender not just the executive and legislative branches, but we essentially would surrender the entire government of the United States to what John Roberts so brilliantly labeled 5 unelected lawyers. You know, there are times I've disagreed with John Roberts, maybe on the Obamacare decision.
Sure.
But my gosh, when I read his dissent on the same-sex marriage decision, it was one of the most powerful, riveting, and revealing dissents, I think, perhaps ever. And for a Chief Justice to refer repeatedly to his colleagues on the Supreme Court, and a good friend of mine, a constitutional scholar, Matt Staver, who was dean of the law school at Liberty University for many years, made the comment, he said, that in all of the history of the Supreme Court, never has a Chief Justice repeatedly referred to his colleagues as 5 unelected lawyers. He would at least refer to them with the respectful delineation of my esteemed colleagues or my fellow justices, some way of, he showed them contempt, not respect, by always referring to them over and over as 5 unelected lawyers. And he and Scalia, Alito and Thomas all made it very clear that this decision was outside the bounds of the Constitution and law, outside the boundaries of their authority, because there was nothing in the Constitution that they could hang their hat on and say, we have the right to define marriage. And it's a matter of saving our republic to say that as president, we're not going to accept this decision. We will ignore it. We will not enforce it. And in fact, if a state has same-sex marriage by the vote of its people, then we will respect it because
that's they have the constitutional authority. The states have the constitutional authority. They could introduce polygamy. Right? They could, and that would be perfectly within their constitutional authority.
I wouldn't like it, but I would have to respect it. Under the 10th Amendment, you'd have to say they were within their bounds.
But this has to be a matter of principle, doesn't it? So that for our liberal friends, they have some decisions they don't like as well. The gun control decisions that have defended our Second Amendment in a robust interpretation of the right to bear arms. Citizens United, the campaign finance case. If, let's say, President Obama, who believes that the campaign finance case is wrong, that it's not rooted in the Constitution, that it's an illegitimate decision, if he refused to enforce it, we would have to say that's within his authority as well. We might disagree with him on the substance of the decision, but if we're not to be hypocrites here, don't we have to say that if he made that choice, then of course it would be up to the American people to respond politically as to whether they thought he was doing the right thing in standing up to the court or not. But we couldn't criticize him for lawlessness, could we?
Well, no, but here's what we could do. I mean, this is the genius of our Constitution, and every now and then I just stand back in awe. I really do. I mean, I believe the Bible is divinely inspired, and I don't think the Constitution's on the same level as the Scriptures. But I can't read the Constitution, particularly as I understand it in context of how it is played out, and not be in awe of the sheer brilliance that our founders understood that we are frail. Now, we would say it in the maybe the biblical tradition, we're sinners. I know that's politically incorrect, but that we have a basic nature that is not perfect.
G.K. Chesterton said that original sin is the only Christian doctrine for which there is empirical evidence that's overwhelming.
Well, there is definitely evidence for that. But because we understood that we're frail, that we would make mistakes, that we were corruptible, we created 3 branches so that if one got out of control, the other 2 had the power to check it.
It's the system of checks and balances.
That's exactly right. So that's why it's so important that the president not surrender to the courts. It's also important that the Congress and the courts not surrender to the president. So if the president is out of control, Congress has the power to impeach. The Congress has the power
to deny funding.
To deny funding
to certain institutions.
Absolutely. They have the power of the purse to withhold.
For example, defunding Planned Parenthood is something Congress is working on.
That's exactly right. It's messy. It's not always pretty.
But it's politics. Yeah, it's the system.
The system is designed for self-correction. But it has to be led by people who swim in their lane, understand the unique constitutional duty, and I use that word with emphasis, the constitutional duty they have to provide that check and balance to the other branches. If they fail to do that, then we begin to unravel the very foundation of our constitutional republic.